money with borderline fraudulent, if not outright illegal, financial manipulation. But virtually the entire establishment, which was supposed to prevent such things from happening, was also asleep at the switch. Adding insult to injury, the powers that be ignored a constant stream of warning signs and displayed a callous disregard for reality, as well as repeated suggestions from those few folks like me who dared to contend that these fiscal emperors had no clothes. Thanks to the establishment and the millions of people who blindly bought into it, Americans are likely to pull in their fiscal horns for at least a generation. I think the United States will be fortunate to see its economy grow 2% year over year, and that kind of slow growth could be around for decades. As profit margins crumble, and as government bailouts of the private sector go on for much longer than people expected, there is clearly a new normal in the financial markets, one most investors are ill-equipped to grapple with. Still, as bad as it sounds, there is a flip side to the slow-growth coin. It's the side that thankfully speaks to how much we have to gain as investors once we recognize what the new normal looks like. This new reality, this realization that we're now groping with what is essentially a fiscal hangover, has me more excited than I've ever been before about the markets. You see, history shows that periods of great turmoil are inevitably followed by a time of tremendous wealth creation. To be fair, I don't know precisely when our economy will fully recover from this hangover. Nobody does. But a quick review of the data suggests it will happen, just as sure as the sun will come up tomorrow. And ironically enough, the recovery will likely come when most people least expect it. Key questions to address now. Therefore, the most important questions in my mind, and in the minds of savvy investors the world over, are: what do we do now to protect and grow our assets? And how do we make sure our money is prepared for maximum profitability when we do come out of this mess? Fortunately, accomplishing this feat is not as tall an order as you might think. Contrary to what most people believe, the credit crisis we've experienced is not entirely different from other periods in history. It just feels different to most of us now because what has taken place recently is unique to the vast majority of today's investors. This time around, the market participants haven't changed, nor is there some new technology that's caused market realignment. Instead, the very rules of money itself have changed, and so has everything that drives those rules. Investors who hope to preserve and even grow their wealth in the years ahead must adapt to these new rules of money. As I tell the hundreds of thousands of readers of my weekly columns, and the thousands of investors who sit in on my presentations around the world each year, the risks of success have never been higher than they are today. Unfortunately, neither have the opportunities for failure. You might think I mean the opportunities for success and the risks of failure, but I don't. We have reached a point at which the upside we want to achieve must take a back seat to the risks we want to avoid. Part of adapting to the world's new money rules begins with the recognition that events taking place thousands of miles from America's borders will more likely than not dictate all we know about investing for years to come. These events will affect every asset class on the planet. This is why the investors who are most successful in the next few years will be those who come to terms soonest with the fact that the credit crisis aftermath is likely to produce positive, profitable changes away from the so-called modern industrialized nations and their large-scale fiscal imbalances. It will instead drive newly emerging economies to increasing roles of importance and relevance in the global marketplace. People have paid lip service to this for years, so I'll just be blunt. Nearly 75% of the world's economic activity now takes place outside the United States. And it's only going to get more unbalanced for one simple reason. Worldwide investments are expected to double to more than $300 trillion in the next 5 to 10 years, and better than half of that is likely to come from outside mature markets, like the United States and Japan.